Hello and welcome back to Focus Atlanta. Thanks so much for continuing to watch. In our last segment today, we're going to talk a little bit about Teach for America. I'm here with Dave Heilman. Thanks so much for making time for us today. You know what? Before we get into tutoring and those wonderful things, let's tell everybody a little bit about Teach for America for those who've been living under a rock.
Sure. Thank you for asking. First and foremost, Teach for America is an organization that has worked here in Atlanta for 25 years and nationally for 35 years. And we've been placing teachers into high need schools across the metro area and across the country. So in Atlanta, for instance, I can share that we've placed over 2,100 teachers since we started in the year 2000. And this year we have over 240 teachers. And most of our teachers are coming right out of college. And so we recruit them when they're college seniors. We work with them. We find those leaders that are really looking to have a deep impact in their community through education. Once we select them, we help them match with a job. We do a comprehensive summer training program. And then we support them over their first 2 years as classroom teachers. And so that's just the start of the program. The 2 years are great. We like to say it's never about 2 years. And so we actually have over 2,000 alumni in Atlanta. And these alumni are doing everything from staying in the classroom as teachers, running schools as principals, going to become elected officials, like going into law, business, medicine. But because everyone had that anchoring experience of being a teacher in a high needs classroom, they kind of stay, that part of our mission just stays centered in the work they do.
Dave, I got to say, I have not met an alum of Teach for America who is not entirely passionate. I mean, something about what you all do, something about the skills that you are able to provide really makes for lifelong advocates. And to that point, there's so much more than just being in the classroom.
Yes, absolutely. You know, what I would say is that the power of Teach for America is, first of all, just the power of working with kids. Like, you can't spend your days and hours dedicating yourself to young people and not be inspired. Because no matter what school you're in, no matter what grade level you teach, like, kids are amazing. And while the work is exceptionally hard, it also just fuels you professionally in ways that last you the entire lifetime. So I'm not surprised at all. Our loves are fantastic.
Oh, wow. Well, today we're here to talk a little bit about tutoring
Yeah.
opportunities. Give me the rundown.
So this is a very exciting new program. So, when I talked about the work that we do to recruit college seniors, like, I will say one of our, secret sauces at Teach for America is we are probably a top producer of talent, period. We have just over the course of the last 3.5 decades nationally really honed what it takes to, like, find, recruit, and motivate individuals to go into education. During the pandemic, we said, well, let's take that muscle that we have about talent, like identification, and see how we can support this really weird space the education movement is in, where we need kids are at home. We've got this virtual instruction thing happening. And so that's what launched the Ignite Tutoring Fellowship. And so the Ignite Tutoring Fellowship is something called high dosage tutoring. So sometimes tutoring is actually a misnomer, because you think about tutoring being like, oh, I met with someone Tuesday after school for an hour. What this is we actually are recruiting college students. We match them with 2 or 3 students, and they meet with those kids for 45 minutes a day, 3 times a week for 10 weeks. So that's the high dosage piece. It is consistent. It is a small group. It is focused. And again, like, it's over almost an entire half a year of school, which is really fantastic, which is why we're seeing some great results of it. Um, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is huge. You're right. It's so much bigger than what we typically expect when we hear the word tutor.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's bigger that way in the way that Teach for America is kind of bigger than just being a teacher. Do you know what I mean? Like, you all
Yeah.
have the secret sauce of making what we think of, we might think of one aspect and making it something completely different.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting about this, I think, first of all, what we found is that, this is a way that we can engage college students much earlier on. So we recruit these individuals while they're currently students. And there's a couple pieces that I think are just absolutely magical about this program. The first thing is, because it's virtual, our tutors are all over the country. So, like, we have about 160 tutors this year in Atlanta, but they are in Boston, they're in the AUC from Spelman, they're over in California. Because what happens is that, the school says to us when they want the tutoring block to happen. It's going to be, 10 to 11 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But then no matter what time zone you're in, the students are looking at their schedules and they're matching in. So like there's a high level of flexibility for the tutors to kind of engage. Second of all, it's a campus job. They actually get paid fairly well. So I talked about the idea that it's like around, I don't know, 300 hours of work. They're getting paid almost $1,500 a semester to do that work. So as like for a college student, you're getting paid, you're getting to work with kids. Um, and then what we're also seeing in this space is that, those benefits have a long-term effect. One is that we're seeing really good growth in academics, which I can talk about in a second. But more, we just had a study released from Stanford that said the students that are participating in these tutoring programs are much more likely to apply to become teachers after they graduate. And that study has an outsized effect on traditionally marginalized groups in education. So it has an outsized effect on men and of students of color. So we're having more of those individuals say, hey, after graduation, I want to become a teacher, which is just music to our ears, a TFA.
Absolutely. It's music to the ears of the community as well. We
Absolutely.
want the people who are excited about teaching, the people who are excited about working with students. And that's what you guys produce on a consistent basis.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I mentioned briefly, so I'll just share some of those academic results. What's really cool about the program is that, I talked about like how flexible it is for the tutors, but it's also flexible for the schools. Because what happens is the way this program works is aside from paying the tutors, we actually hire a staff member at each school that we work in that is going to be the expert on that school's curriculum. So we're not saying that, hey, here's TFA's reading curriculum, or here's our math curriculum, or here's a national. We're saying, what do you do at this elementary school? And so that for the students that are participating in the program, they're getting some of the material ahead of time or they're reviewing material they just learned. So it's very coherent with what they're doing in their classrooms, which is why we're seeing some really rapid growth. In fact, in one of our middle schools, we saw our kids, they take what's called the MAP assessment. So that's like a progress monitoring assessment they take at the beginning of like the school year, the middle, and the end. And the test is national so that it can predict like, hey, Keisha, you got this score in August. We expect you to get this score in December. We saw kids getting 3 times the levels of growth they expected that participated in our program. And so we really are seeing that like this isn't there's no such thing as a silver bullet in education, but there's a really strong tool for schools to implement to like really get kids moving along the way.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah.
Well, congratulations. I just wanted to have you on the show to tell everybody about it. Please close us out with a website where people can learn more.
Well, please go to www.teachforamerica.org. There you can learn all about applying to be a core member, which is our program we've been doing forever. Or for those current college students or folks interested, the Ignite Tutoring Fellowship is also a great place to learn and grow. We'd love to have you.
Thanks for your time. It was so good to meet you.
So great to meet you as well, Keisha. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. All right, guys, Dave has broken it all down for you, giving you all the details that you need to know. Please go to the website and learn more. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Focus Atlanta. I hope to see you next Sunday here on CBS Atlanta.